Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sophia Perez. I hope everyone had a good lunch. So I'm excited to join you for our Feel Your Feels teen chat. We will discuss teen mental health concerns, stressors, and healthy coping strategies. In addition, we will discuss the importance of mutual support from peers and trusted adults. Let's get started by introducing ourselves and telling the audience one interesting fact about you.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Kyra, and an interesting fact is I'm a certified nursing assistant.
Hello, my name is Jeremiah Wallace, and one fun fact about me is that I play football for the Savannah Coastal Middle School.
One fun fact about me is I interned with the court system.
I'm Lauren. One interesting fact is I did karate for about 3 years.
Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linton Hester. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in Savannah, Georgia, with my own private practice, which is Live Better Now Counseling Services. And one interesting fact about me is that I am a twin. I come from a family of twins, as far as 11 boys, no girls, and I have twin sons. Fun, a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about yourself. Let's jump right into the questions. First, for you, Mr. Hester, can you start by sharing some of the most common mental health challenges among youth and the risk factors that lead to these challenges?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question. Some of the challenges that some of you, some of your peers, some of your friends may experience, we call it depression or anxiety. Also, chronic agitation is one that we don't talk a lot about that teens and young people experience. And so, depression basically is when an individual experiences a long or an extended period of sadness, right? Anything could actually trigger sadness. It could be something that stems from that's environmental, something that's internal, something that is based on how you were raised, illnesses. And so depression is one thing that is common, but you may feel sad, you may feel moody, you may feel irritable or agitated. Another one is anxiety. And anxiety basically is this excessive amount of worry that happens over a long period of time. And one other one that I found that teenagers experience is chronic agitation, just being irritable for an extended period of time. And that's one thing that is another silent issue that is not talked about a lot. So those are some of the challenges. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
Um, uh, and the risk factors that lead to these challenges.
That's a great one. That's a great one. So, risk factors, and I'll explain what risk factors are. Risk factors are problematic things that occur that will cause you to experience depression. Those are like precipitating factors, things that happen in your life that would lead you to feel depressed, right? A risk factor for individuals who or teenagers, preteens, and adolescents include SES, low SES, and that's low social economic status. If you come from a family who struggles financially, who may be living from paycheck to paycheck, or a family who have secrets, taboos, things that they don't talk about, family conflict, abuse of all sorts, whether it's substance abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, those are some of the risk factors that individuals experience that may cause them to feel depressed. It may be a factor that leads to that. Other risk factors include where if you have not been able to have a healthy relationship with your parents, having one parent in a home, or the parent not being able to help you express your thoughts and feelings, where you can talk about how you feel, you have the language to put to how you feel. Those are various risk factors that contribute to teens feeling depressed, anxious, or even having chronic agitation.
Thank you. And to the youth panelists, can you explain in your own words what mental health means to you and what things stress you out daily?
So mental health to me is like it's about an individual's feelings and what stressed me out daily. I'm in a lot of extracurriculars. So on top of schoolwork, because I go to a choice school, it's a stressing trying to get your work done, do your extracurriculars right, and work.
Mental health to me is something that makes you feel better about yourself and to make yourself feel more positive for others and your family.
Mental health to me is like how you cope with your like emotions and how you, I don't know. It's how you deal with your emotions, I guess. And what stresses me out daily? I don't know. I don't get stressed out daily. I get stressed out from the people who's around me, really. Yeah. I get stressed out from the people who's around me and like what they're saying to me. I get stressed out from that. But nothing like schoolwork. I set up my schedule because I'm a senior. I set up my schedule so I don't go in the building at all. So schoolwork doesn't stresses me out because I don't go. I'm finished with like schoolwork, I guess you can say. I just work. But nothing stresses me out daily. Yeah. Oh, she didn't.
Um, what stresses me out is when I have to juggle dual enrollment. So I go to Savannah State while also being in high school. So I have to juggle that work along with taking care of a now 1 year old puppy that I have at home. When my mom doesn't feel like doing stuff because she's sick now. So yeah, I have to juggle dog, my mom, homework. Yeah.
And this is another question for you guys. How do you know when you are in distress, or how do you know when your mental health isn't the best?
I can start this. So, one thing I know how I'm in distress. So, I start shutting down the world so everything just passes by through my eyes. I'm not like there mentally, but I'm physically in the world. Yeah.
I would agree with Lauren. I'm really quiet when I'm stressed, and I miss a lot of school because I choose not to go, and it's more of shutting down, not going to school, ignoring people, listening to music.
So stressing out for me is like my head will start hurting and I'll start shutting people out and I'll pass it on.
Well, I know with me, I tend to get more sensitive about things. I'll start crying easier, or I'll start getting mad at my mom, and she knows when I'm upset because I'll yell at her sometimes. Nothing bad. I'm just like, please, I don't want to talk anymore, and I'll run to my room. So that's kind of what I do. And another question for the youth panelists: in what ways do you see yourself or your friends or peers coping with daily stress? What healthy techniques do you see them use, or what about unhealthy techniques?
I I think unhealthy techniques would be lashing out. I mean, you have a reason, but like lashing out. I don't like I don't know how to say it. I don't like show people when I'm like stressed, I guess. I deal with it internally.
Yeah.
So I would say lashing out would be an unhealthy technique.
I agree with Kyra. Lashing out is an unhealthy technique, but a healthy technique is just like take your time and start breathing slowly.
So for healthy, I think talking to your friends, talking to a trusted person in general is good, but unhealthy I think would be like drugs or not coming to school or not answering the phone, disappearing.
So one healthy one would be like talking to a therapist if you don't have a trusted adult or a counselor if it starts happening at school. And then an unhealthy one is self abuse.
And this is for you, Mr. Hester. Did I say that right? Okay. The suicide rate is highest during the mid teen years. What do you think influences this? Or what signs and symptoms of teen experiencing suicidal ideation? I am so sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. I understand. Um, some of the factors that contribute to teens using suicide as an escape or thinking that it's a way out is, for one, I'm going to keep it in present day, social media, right? We look at that, we see it, we hear it, and it's become a language that seems to be a part of the norm, and an act or behavior that seems to be not only just a last resort, but the resort. And so one of the primary things is social media. Another one is peer pressure, right? Breakups. If you've been with someone who you really like, someone who you think that you're in love with, and you feel you're love struck and there's a breakup, having a separation with the person that you thought you would be in love with forever is one of the factors that contribute to a person thinking about suicide. Not only that, if there's a history in the family, if you have an aunt, if you have an uncle, if you have someone who you know who actually attempted or committed suicide or talked about it, that seems to be an option for some teens in these days, because it's almost like creating or giving you a thought to think about that as an option. Another thing is poor grades, right? If you feel pressure from parents, if you feel pressure from your peers, if you're having conflict with family members and feeling as though you're not heard, it's like, why am I here? If you don't feel as though you're valuable or important, or if your parents are extremely busy and you feel as though you're invisible, some of the questions you would ask yourself is, well, what am I here for? You're not listening to me. You don't care about me. You're not trying to understand me. Those are some of the questions that, when I'm in session, some of the teens begin to disclose to me, because they feel as though that they are invisible, or they feel as though they don't have a talent. And one of the famous quote is that that it's comparison is the thief of joy. A lot of teens compare themselves to their friends, to things they see on social media, which is pretty much a highlight reel. These things are just that. It's a moment in time. A lot of people don't live that way a lot in life. It's just a moment in time. And so those are some of the factors that contribute to that. And one of the things I will say, because you mentioned about signs and symptoms, I'm going to give you a laundry list of signs and symptoms, parents, for you to be able to identify if my child is having certain behaviors that cause me to raise suspicion, right? One of the things is isolation, hiding, right? Hiding text messages. I come across a lot of times where parents are finding certain text messages about kids wanting to injure themselves, hurt themselves, or do something to themselves that the parents find out later or find out sometime in between, and then sometimes it's almost too late. Another one, as I mentioned before, breakups, right? When you have a breakup, what typically happens? Crying spells. You don't want to talk about it, right? Shutting down, not wanting to engage with your friends, or changing the normal patterns of what you used to do. Putting it on social media. Oh, I ought to kill myself. That's it. I'm done. Those hidden messages are codes, right? And then another sign or another symptom of that is not eating. Sleep pattern is changing. Always into the phone. But if you don't have a trained eye to see it, then you won't know it. It is just, you would think that it's just being a teenager. Or she just doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to just interact with us. And so any other signs that contribute to those include change of appearance. And sometimes it's the obvious things that you see. You look at first the behavior. What are they doing differently, or what are they no longer doing? Just those simple things. You just have to be in tune, and that's the difference, just really being in tune with the changes in the behavior. And not only that, but the change in season. How is my kid acting in the summer as opposed to how they're acting in the winter? How are they acting when they go to school? Changing their clothes, grades are failing, right? Not being interested in academics anymore. Stop doing the things that they like and love to do. Oh, my child used to be in baseball. They used to love playing tennis or chess or checkers. They don't do it anymore, right? Just really being in tune and paying attention to those signs. Being agitated, yelling, being snippy, giving away things. Oh, nope, you can have it. I don't care anymore. Well, PS4, PS5, psh, I don't want to play it anymore. Kid hadn't played it or touched it in weeks, months, right? Those are all of the signs. And then in addition to that, just confiding in friends and just hiding information. And there's a difference between being isolated and being alone. When you have your kid who is socially withdrawn, if you no longer want to be with your friends, if you no longer want to eat with family, if you no longer want to hang out with your buddies or be in the open, those are all simple signs to pay attention. Hygiene is another one. Lack of hygiene or change in what you do, change in your sleep, change in attitude is another one. When you just say, I don't care, or you just don't really care anymore, right? Those are some of those things. So just wanted to give you just a few. Hopefully that was helpful for you.
Thank you. And youth panelists, how have you supported friends and peers through challenging times? Or how would you like to be supported through challenging times?
I let them rant to me about their problems, and then I try and offer solutions that might help them. Mostly it's the boy problem in our class, so yeah, I'm not too helpful on that, but I try anyway.
Can you say the question one more time?
This is the question. All right. How have you supported friends and peers through challenging times? And how would you like to be supported when you're in a challenging time?
So if I had a friend who was depressed, I'll either tell a trusted adult, or I would tell them to go to the counselor or a, what you call it? Therapist.
Like Lauren said, probably ranting to me, but also giving them space. I feel like boundaries within your friendship is something that is very important. Letting them have their space and not texting them all the time or calling them 24/7 because they want to be alone is something that some people do need.
What advice can you give for people dealing with challenges navigating young adulthood? Yep, that's for you.
Honestly, you need to do something that you love, because having a passion is what's going to keep you going. And managing your time better, not always being on social media or watching TV, doing your work, finding a job, keeping yourself busy.
As I said before, you need to find a trusted adult or a therapist, or just go to the counselor at your school.
Can you say again?
What advice can you give for people dealing with challenges while navigating adulthood?
The advice that I would give is talk to your support system, and if you don't have a support system, what I do, I pray. To be honest with you, I just pray, because I don't have anybody to talk to. I talk to my mom, but she doesn't get it, if that makes sense. She doesn't understand because she's 56 and I'm 17. But I would say talk to your support system or whatever. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? No? Okay. This is for you guys again. What are some things you wish your parents or adults knew when it comes to supporting your mental health?
I wish my parents would know the signs of depression and suicidal thoughts.
I think it's more of parents listening. If they listened more and not talk so much or talk over you, they need to listen. My mama's in here too, so I'm gonna hand the mic over.
Can you repeat the question?
The question again? What are some things you wish parents or adults knew when it comes to supporting your mental health?
Telling your kids when you're having a little argument, telling them that, oh, you know everything. Sometimes we don't, and sometimes we just want to talk to you like that. Yeah.
if I can, I just want to add also, because I work with families as well, and I think this is to parents. I think one of the things that will be helpful is not taking it personal, not taking offense what kids have to say, but just allowing them to tell their experience. Because a lot of times when they begin to talk about the things they deal with and how they see the world, this is their experience. And when they tell their experience, oftentimes parents would dismiss, parents tend to overlook, or sometimes they tend to just belittle and not want to listen because they take offense to it and take it personal. But don't personalize it, but allow them to tell their experience, because they're giving you insight into the world that they live in, right? Because when I was growing up back in the Western times, they had what is called the digital divide. You all remember that? But now when you look at it, because mental health is so trendy, there's a mental health divide between toughing it out, sucking it up, moving it forward. But now the resiliency of young people is just different, right? And so we think that there is enough toughness and they're strong because they have this veneer, but there's a lot of vulnerability underneath that surface. So I just, want to encourage parents to just listen, don't dismiss, don't belittle, don't overtalk, but allow them to tell you their experience, and that gives you great insight into where the psyche and the mental fortitude of your kid lies or may not lie.
Thank you. And to any one of you, do you have any final words, thoughts, or advice to teens who are coming into the new school year or in the school year already?
I'll do it. Sometimes your friends will come and go. Don't follow them everywhere. Sometimes you need to be a leader instead of a follower, because if you keep following them, they're gonna end up doing something bad, and then you're gonna end up doing that thing too. So be a leader, not a follower.
I was just gonna say, it's okay to not be okay. Yeah.
I say don't be a bully and keep your head up to the tough times.
I think it's just about self-awareness. You need to be more aware of yourself than others and not care what people think.
Do you have any?
And I'll just say this quick. Just think before you do. Use your words to communicate how you feel. And don't be afraid to advocate for yourself in all things, right? Don't be afraid to stand up and say how you feel, to talk about your emotions, to talk about your feelings, because everyone experience, what they experience. And for you to speak out, there may be somebody else that you encourage to also speak out. So be encouraged and do what you have to do in order to maintain your mental health.
Okay, thank you guys so much for your thoughts. And we're going to go on to questions. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask them.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn. I have a question, Mr. Hester. Is that how you say it? What made you get into this field of work?
Great question. Brooklyn, right? Thank you so much. It was natural for me. Throughout my high school career, throughout college, I've always been very level-headed. I've always, been the type just to be really mellow and calm, and people would come to me asking me for advice just naturally. And so by the time I finished high school and college, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do after that. And so someone suggested, hey, be a counselor. Just go to school for counseling. And so I went through the academics, I went through the internship and practicum, and I've always had an altruistic nature for people. Always wanted to make sure that their well-being was good and taken care of, and so that is what carved my path to get into this type of profession. Great question, thank you.
Oh, we got one over here.
Thank you. My name is Montreal, and I got it's not really more, I wouldn't say it's a question, but, I had to say that, dang, my anxiety went up quick, ain't it? But, half of the time, I see what y'all saying is right, but, not everybody, I don't care. Let's say what you said, I don't care, you can have it. sometimes not everything is a sign of depression, and sometimes people are just like that in general. Like me, I have sex myself. I'm the type of person that just sometimes I just don't care no more. Like like I just don't have that thrill for it no more. Like sometimes I just don't care. So I just say that parent, like, get to know your child like more. Like I do thank y'all for helping. Like y'all really help all the parents out here. You know what I'm saying?
I'm Allison. Is there anything we can do to further understand our mental health?
Yes, great question. Thank you. There are a number of things you can do. I think one said that awareness, being aware of what's happening to you in the moment, right? Your body, how does your body feel about a moment or a situation? What are the thoughts that you're having? And then some practical tools you can do is every day have a routine and a pattern every day, right? Be able to wake up. First thing I usually tell people, wake up and make your bed, because what that does, that helps set the tone for organization of thought. After that, have a quote, have an adage, have something that inspires you, or a mission statement every day. Take time to take a breath, take a moment away from the busyness of the day, because we all are very busy, from kids to students to high school to working adults. And so you have to take time for you in order to, whether you breathe, whether you journal, whether you write down how you feel, whether you have someone you can confide in to have some support. And so those are ways to help with fostering and improving your mental fortitude, right? Having an outlet is also very important. And so those are just a few tools you can use on a daily basis to help with improving your mental health. Great question.
My name is Markayla, and my question is, how would you tell, like, signs in, like, a friend or someone that's, like, close to you? Like,
how do you know they need help? Okay, some of the signs I would say is when you see that they may be, and we think of depression as being sad and melancholy and dour. Anger is also a symptom of depression, right? Yelling, fussing, being angry, being irritable, change of appetite, no longer wanting to talk, not answering the phone, going ghost on social media. Those are all some of the things that will give you indications that something is not right, right? And one of the first signs is when you ask yourself that question, hey, you're acting different today. That's the first thing you want to do, right? Because if you notice it, if you see something that's abnormal, if they're acting different, that's something for you to begin to speak up and say, because you're noticing it. That's one of the signs, just being able to notice it. And then not only that, but a solution to that is ask them, hey, how are you feeling? I usually tell people not to really ask how you're doing, because that's more of a performative type question. How are you feeling? How are your emotions? How is your mood? And that's more of an open-ended question, because they'll begin to tell you not what they're doing, not how they're doing, but how they're feeling and what's resonating within them. So reframing the question gives you a greater insight into asking more questions to be able to be that support for your friend.
Don't love at everyone. Now, earlier you said that a lot of times the kids have, insecurities about going to their parents about opening up to them how they feel. Get the kids tips about telling their parents how they feel about themselves, about being depressed. Some tips they can say, hey, Mom, I'm not doing well at school. Or, Dad, this guy's bullying me. 'Cause a lot of times kids are afraid to tell their parents that.
Great question. Thank you so much. Myself being a father, I know exactly how it is to have that vulnerability from your kid, for them to feel safe. So the first thing I would say is you have to model what you want from your kid, right? And so in order for them to be open and want to talk and share their experience, you have to be the first partaker in sharing your experience, right? Open the conversation. Say, hey, son, hey, daughter, Dad's not feeling good today. I had this to happen to me, and that transpired, and just kind of give them, that type of conversation by kickstarting it. And then what else helps is making sure that you yourself, create the environment. Whether you share ice cream, get into their world, find something they like. If you don't like Takis, you know what? Take up some Takis and have a Taki party with your kid, right? Just to be able to create a conducive environment for them to be able to open up. And so being vulnerable, not only that, but sharing your experience and just giving that environment to where they feel comfortable for you to be able to have that. And then not always having something to say. Just be present and listen, right?
I want to know, like, what advice do you have for someone who's thinking of suicide?
What advice for someone who is thinking about suicide? I would say if there's an individual who is having thoughts about suicide, and this is very, very real and very serious, I would say don't keep it to yourself, because there are other people, and I want to say this just as clear as day, there are other people who have thought about wanting to take their lives. You know, social media is called unlive, right? So many people want to have thoughts about that. You are not the only one. You're not the only one, right? And so if you're having those thoughts, talk to someone about it. Be open, right? Because I think that if you're having those thoughts, there are some things that are really serious happening, and people care about you. And I think that's important to know that you're valuable, you're important, you're worth it. And so the thing to do, and I'm going to give you like a 3-step process. Talk to someone who you know that you can confide in. In addition to that, if you feel that there's no friend or parent or a person that's there, you can call the pound 988, the crisis line, right? They have people there who can talk to you. They don't have to know your name. They don't have to know who you are. You can just talk without judgment, without feeling like, oh, I'm going to regret what I said. And not only that, then if that doesn't work, then begin to write down how you feel, what you're experiencing, and then talk to a school counselor or someone you can trust. Those are 3 things you can do if you feel that you're having those type thoughts.
And last question, so we can wrap it up.
Hello, my name is Aubriana West. My question is, could you tell us more about seasonal depression and how the weather does affect your mood?
Okay. Seasonal depression is, and I'll make this very concise if I can, is termed as SAD, or sometimes it's called the blues, especially in the wintertime. It's called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And it happens in certain parts of the season. Sometimes for some people it happens during the evening time. For some individuals, it happens during the winter time, or for others, it may happen during certain parts of the year. And what it is, it's also hormonal and it's seasonal, right? And what transpires with that is you start feeling depressed, you start feeling irritable, you start feeling anxious, you start feeling worried. And so it's a combination of emotions and moods. So it's based on mood, how you feel. Right? Depression is just based on your mood. And whether you wake up in the morning, you have a certain mood. When you go down to bed at night, you have a certain mood. When it's Christmas time, when it's any time, it deals with your mood. So even in the wintertime, that's when it is most prominent. It affects your mood because of the cold, because of lack of family time, because of lack of support. And so one way to actually deal with that, and I don't want to get into the details of it, is to seek some help. Talk to a friend, talk to a parent, talk to a professional, so that they will help you to find tools in order to prepare yourself to negate or expunge some of the experiences and symptoms that you have regarding that seasonal affective disorder. Great question. Great question.